Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys?
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it. Husband!
Wife!
Do you remember what happened yesterday?
Well,
or on
not
Friday?
yesterday. Right, on Friday we were reading Isaiah chapter 57.
That is correct.
I don't honestly remember exactly what happened, but I do remember we ended up talking about death a lot.
We did.
Yes.
We did.
And so if you could fill me in, I would appreciate it because
Sure.
I can't remember other than that at the moment.
Yeah. Chapter 57 was a lot of don't practice idolatry, don't worship those things, don't fuck under green trees, don't sacrifice kids. And then on Saturday we were like, hold on, what, green trees?
Yeah, we figured out
And then
some
it was
stuff about the green trees.
Christmas trees and all kinds of stuff.
That's right. Yeah, if you didn't check out the Q&A, it's definitely worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I do want to mention real quick that it's odd timing, but after we got done having our episode on Friday, and we talked a lot about death and the consequences and how we feel about it, I had a very dear friend of mine pass away just last night, actually. And it's been rough today, so we didn't do our normally scheduled Patreon episode. We are doing this episode, but I did share, was a musician, and he was just an absolutely fantastic guy. I did share the Patreon episode. It is public for everybody, so if you go to patreon.com/Sacrilegious Discourse, you can listen to his music. And
you don't have to be a contributing Patreon member. You can just go there and hear his music.
Yep. So I'm just trying to get through today and through this episode, but I'm managing. And anyway, that's what I got for today. We're going to be diving into what again today?
Isaiah chapter 58.
All right, let's do this.
Okie doke. Okay, so here we are hopping into Isaiah chapter 58.
Okay.
Shout it aloud. Do not hold back.
No.
Wah! Raise your voice like a trumpet. Burr, 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 burr.
Yeah.
Declare to my people their rebellion, and to the descendants of Jacob their sins. Isaiah's about to tell you what for again.
Right.
You suck, you suck, you suck.
Yep.
You worms, you fucking mountain. For day after day they seek me out. They seem eager to know my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right and has not forsaken the commands of its gods. God, I mean. Sorry.
God, not
singular
God.
Yeah, capital G, my bad.
He wouldn't like that. Mistake there.
They ask me for just decisions and seem eager for God to come near them. Why, we have fasted, they say, and have you not seen it? Why, have we humbled ourselves and you have not noticed? Yet on the day of your fasting you do as you please and exploit all your workers.
This is like the bit where people go to church on, or they party on Saturday and then they go to church on Sunday to absolve everything they did on Saturday.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly what it is. He's like, I see you, assholes. Your fasting ends in quarreling and strife and in striking each other with wicked fists as opposed to heavenly fists.
Right, yeah.
You cannot fast as you do today and expect your voice to be heard on high. This is about works versus faith.
Right.
Like, if you have faith, you'll want to do the works. If you're just doing the works without faith, then they're empty gestures, so don't do them.
Which is one of my biggest complaints about religious folks today.
Yeah.
They don't generally do the quote-unquote works. They
do the going to church works.
Yeah.
But they seem to just be habitual and empty.
Yes.
And the works that you're talking about are the good works of helping other people that they don't do.
Right. And mimicking what your God is wanting you to be in life every day.
Right.
And that's the part that I really struggle with people is that you're kind of, I'm speaking in general here, but
Mhm.
like, you're being shitty at me as a Christian.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I want to go to that religion? Why
Right.
what about you makes me think that your religion is any good?
Yeah, that's one thing I really don't get. Like when they're talking trash to you and they're like, "You're gonna burn in hell, motherfucker," and it's like, are you trying to talk me into being a Christian, or
fucking sales pitch?
have you decided on God's behalf that I cannot be saved? So why bother trying and on purpose instead be mean and cruel?
Right.
Like that. I don't think that's what you're supposed to do.
No.
But who am I? I'm just reading the Bible over here.
Right.
Is this the kind of fast I have chosen? Only a day for people to humble themselves? Is it only for bowing one's head like a reed and for lying in sackcloth and ashes? Is that what you call a fast? A day acceptable to the Lord? Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke? To set the oppressed free and break every yoke? It almost sounds like he's anti-slavery, but we know that's not true.
Right. Well, he's that way when it comes to his own people.
Yeah.
But when it comes to other people, he's a little more wishy-washy on that subject.
Yeah. It's fine to take non-Israelites as slaves.
Yeah.
Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter?
I mean, that's the impression I got early on back in Moses' time.
Yeah.
But then they kind of strayed away from that.
Yeah.
Even in the Bible.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just
the big
people.
Deal.
It was the Bible strayed away from it.
Yeah, they were like, whatever, that's okay. We don't have to pay attention to that part. When you see the naked, to clothe them and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood, then your light will break forth like the dawn and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help and he will say, "Here I am."
I like this message. Like, I mean, he's saying that you need to help the lesser than to that is your works. That is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be helping these people.
Toe the line.
As part of your, way to redeem yourself, right? And that's what I fail to see a lot of people doing. And the way that they do it is by giving money willy-nilly to something and saying, there I go, there it goes. I took care of it. But when it comes to actually seeing or taking care of someone in person, it's a whole other story.
Yeah.
That same compassion is not there. And the joke is always, if a homeless person walked into your church, would they be allowed to be there?
And the answer
is
to
often,
me seems no.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that the few times that I went to church with my mom, I was expected to dress a certain way.
Right.
And I'm like, what kind of God is that? Like, you're supposed to be talking me into this, I'm not talked into this if you're telling me I can't wear t-shirt and jeans, or if I, need to have had a shower that morning and did my hair and put makeups on.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry. That sounds like a fucking show-off dress club. Like, that's not what I signed up for.
Churches were known for helping poor get unpoor and help them get back on their feet. Wouldn't you think instead of just sleeping on the street, people would go to churches?
Exactly.
But no, they probably have the fucking cops called on them.
Right.
So
exactly. If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger and malicious talk, and if you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness and your night will become like noonday. So be the light you want to see.
Sure.
Be the change kind of thing.
Right.
The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail, not a spring like in a tiger's tail.
Oh, yeah.
Which is bouncy, trouncy, flouncy, pouncy, fun. Right. Yeah. Not that kind of spring.
Okay. Right.
It's a silver spring.
Right.
Okay. Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the old age foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings.
Okay.
Take these broken wings and learn to fly again.
But this is part of the rebuilding of their, like, because they're coming back from exile where all their shit was fucking destroyed, basically.
Yeah. There was something in my notes that pointed out the fact that they called it ancient ruins instead of just broken ass buildings.
Yeah.
Tends to maybe suggest that this was written, way after the exile. Why would they be calling them ancient ruins instead of just old ass broken buildings?
Well, they were writing this 200 years after the Isaiah shit. So I mean, even if it's been 100 years, the stuff's going to look like ruins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It goes hand in hand with that.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that tracks.
Sure.
If you keep your feet from breaking the Sabbath and from doing as you please on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight and the Lord's holy day honorable, and if you honor it by not going your own way and not doing as you please or speaking idle words, then you will find your joy in the Lord, and I will cause you to ride in triumph on the heights of the land and to feast on the inheritance of your father Jacob. The mouth of the Lord has spoken. The end.
I think the message about helping people and doing the right things and setting the example and being the example, I think that's a good way to operate. Like, I don't have any problem with that. Obviously, I don't believe in God, but the idea of being the example, of treating people equitably is to me a good concept and something worthwhile.
Well, it's how a solid society is formed.
Right.
We are a team. We help each other. We're only as strong as our weakest link.
Sure.
We're not all free if even one of us is not free,
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
For sure. Yeah. But I mean, all in all, I think that was a decent message.
That was a decent message. I'll allow it.
Overall.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'll allow it.
Sure.
It wasn't directed at me because I'm not a believer.
Right. So. Nor am I. But
there's
worse things we've read.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I agree with you there.
All right. Well, that was Isaiah chapter 58.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that tomorrow we'll be back with
Isaiah chapter 59.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you remember what happened yesterday?
I do. We read Isaiah chapter 58.
Correct.
And in that chapter, we were talking about how people don't do enough, basically, and they don't do the work. So, like, they're faking the whole God shit, and they need to do more to help people, is what God was complaining about, or Isaiah, or somebody was complaining about it. The fucking Bible was complaining about it. And we kind of agreed, like, insofar as, Christians today even tend to put just a fake face value on their beliefs and their things that they hold true. Yeah, they check the box. Yeah. You got your Sunday Christians, right?
Yeah.
Like they're Christians on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But they claim the title all week.
Right. And it's not that I want people to be more hardcore Christian. I definitely don't want that.
No.
But if you are going to believe something, if you are going to make it a tenet of your being, I feel like if that's who you want to be, if that's who you want to identify as, then you should be more active in that role and treat it more seriously, especially if you're talking about, an afterlife and heaven and shit like this. Like, you should really be treating that more like you care about it instead of just check the box.
Yeah.
But that being as it is, I don't really give a shit. Yeah. So, insofar as their redemption or not, because I don't believe in it. So.
Yeah.
So that was Isaiah chapter 58.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that today we're getting into
Isaiah chapter 59.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. All right, let's get into Isaiah chapter 59.
Okay.
And let us not forget that we are in the end stages of Isaiah, Trito Isaiah.
We sure the fuck are.
I'm so glad.
This has been a long book.
It really has, comparatively speaking to what we've been in recently.
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
It's like the fucking Energizer Bible.
Surely the arm, don't call me Shirley, of the Lord is not too short to save, nor his ear too dull to hear. But your iniquities have separated you from your God. Your sins have hidden his face from you so that he will not hear.
It's obviously not God's fault. It's your fucking fault, you damn pieces of shit.
It's victim blaming.
Right?
You had it coming, you bitch.
Right?
I smacked you because you made me angry.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's not that. You're responsible for your actions.
But,
you hid your face, and you did that, God.
Right. And I know we talked about last chapter how, okay, if we're going in canon, if people are just putting face value on their actions, right? Then okay, I guess they should be doing better, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the way that God punishes, the amount of punishment that God gives in canon, again, in the Bible, is not, it doesn't measure the amount of bad that these people are doing, especially given the fact that they don't really know whether God exists or not, except for the fact that, some fucks are telling them that he exists.
And which God we're talking about on any given fucking day.
Right, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, and which rules apply and which, whatever.
What's the king say today? I don't fucking know, but my wife says that if I don't get this shit out to the field, then I'm going to be in trouble.
Right, and that's the shit people actually care about, the stuff in your day-to-day life. They don't care about whether God's going to fucking, blast your ass for fucking picking up a goddamn stick.
Right.
So, whatever.
For your hands are stained with blood, your fingers with guilt. Yeah. Are they, though? Your lips have spoken falsely, and your tongue mutters wicked things.
Ooh, I want to hear these wicked things.
Here's my thing. If I'm going to talk wicked, I'm just going to say it out loud.
Right?
I'm not going to mutter it.
That's definitely true.
You will not have to wonder if I've said a wicked thing.
Yeah, wife will not make you keep waiting.
No, I will answer your question, and I will say, yes, that was wicked, and I'll say it again probably.
Right.
And no regrets, almost always.
Yeah.
No one calls for justice. No one pleads a case with integrity. They rely on empty arguments. They utter lies. They conceive trouble and give birth to evil.
He likes to use this "they" very broadly.
Them bad
guys.
They
over there. Those guys. They're all shit.
The bad uns. Ya worms.
It feels very the evil you can't see. Those guys those guys over there.
Yeah.
And then it becomes whoever you want it to be.
Actually, very interesting you bring that up, because I only today saw a clip of Rachel Maddow on Seth Meyers, and this is from 2 months ago, but again, I just saw the clip today.
Sure.
And she's recently written a book, and it's about Nazism, but she was researching the history of how our country dealt with it the last time.
Sure.
And trying to understand, where did we stand on that? And how did we...
We were divided at the time.
And I didn't know that. Most Americans don't know that, I think.
Oh, well.
Because...
I love history, so...
Well, she was kind of not floored necessarily, but just this is not what they teach us in school.
Right.
And she's an educated woman, She's not my favorite newscaster, but I really appreciate her learnings. Yeah. She's very well studied.
Well, essentially, I recall there was at some point in our history, and I'm gonna butcher this a little bit, but there was a presidential candidate, and I'm trying to remember. It was a very popular figure in America. They were really well known. They actually had the missing baby, I think. Was it the
Lindbergh guy?
Lindbergh? Yeah, I think Lindbergh. So Lindbergh, I think, ran for... Don't quote me on this, but I think it was Lindbergh that ran for president, but he was pro-Nazi.
Yeah, that he was, for sure. Yeah. Whether he ran or not, I don't know anything about. Right. But yeah, he was definitely for the Nazis.
And he was a very prominent figure in America back then.
Yeah. So, and there were a lot of people who were actually on Hitler's side, which that's not the picture that America likes to paint of itself.
No, it's not.
And... The reason that I'm bringing this up is because she had something interesting to say about it. She said, anytime somebody is painting somebody as a they, and they're trying to make them subhuman, and they're trying to say their votes shouldn't count.
Right.
what they're doing is less about the people that are less about the people that are on the receiving end of that, and more about trying to say, we don't actually want a democracy. We want fascism.
Right. They're creating a scapegoat so that people can just get on board with, essentially removing certain people's rights.
Yeah.
To give other people more rights.
I found that so interesting. Like, I never put the two together, even though they always come together.
Yeah.
But I didn't quite, I knew they came together, but I didn't quite get the correlation. That there's a reason why fascists are always just racist, or they're anti-LGBTQ, or they're, whoever they can point the finger at that day and say they shouldn't get a vote and we should be in charge.
Because it's popular to have a scapegoat and someone to hate.
Right. Like I said, I had never made that correlation, so it was kind of astounding to me.
Even in the Bible, like what we're reading now, that this is very much how they treat the others, those bad people, the ones over there.
Exactly why I brought that clip up. I thought it was very
sure.
prescient. I will send you the link to it since it has to do with...
Sure.
Again, it's 2 months old, so sorry about that. I'm still catching up on my news and, sometimes I'll skip a thing, and today it was in my playlist, and I love Seth Meyers. Even 2 months old, he's great.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, them, the bad guys.
Right.
Hatch the eggs of vipers and spin a spider's web.
Damn.
They are
Such
subhuman
evil,
fucks.
So horrible.
Whoever eats their eggs will die.
Oh, man.
And when one is broken, an adder is hatched.
Wow.
You know what an adder is?
It's a poisonous snake, I believe. Yeah.
A venomous snake.
Yeah, sorry.
There's a difference between poison and venom and toxin.
I apologize.
Yeah. One may have venom, but it's not a poison unless you ingest it.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Isn't it possible to ingest venom?
Yes, but at the point that you're ingesting it, it has become poisonous.
Okay. Got it.
And yeah, there's a whole thing.
I'm just curious.
It's kind of like one of those petty differences between I am nauseous. No, you're actually not. You are nauseated.
Well, that's why I said what I said.
Right. I'll say what
whatever,
I said. I know. I was just being pedantic.
I got you.
Anyways.
Okay.
Their cobwebs, those fucks, are useless for clothing. They cannot cover themselves with what they make. Their deeds are evil deeds, and acts of violence are in their hands. Their feet rush into sin. They are swift to shed innocent blood. You murderers.
Yeah, I mean, not that God's any better.
No, so. He's killed thousands, so I don't want to hear his shit, honestly.
Thousands, I think it's millions, actually, yeah.
Well, I don't want to hear his shit.
Right.
They pursue evil schemes. Acts of violence mark their ways. The way of peace they do not know. There is no justice in their paths. They have turned them into crooked roads.
Oh, not the crooked roads. Damn.
As opposed to the high road, remember?
Or the straight roads,
No one who walks along them will know peace. Like, this is so dark and scary.
Right.
So justice is far from us, and righteousness does not reach us. We look for light, but all is darkness. For brightness, but we walk in deep shadows.
Yeah, sounds terrible.
This is so yucky.
I hate walking in shadows.
Like the blind, we grope along the wall, feeling our way like people without eyes.
Okay.
Now, are we blind or are we missing our eyeballs?
Right.
Because if you're blind, that indicates that you have your eyeballs, but they don't work.
Right.
Otherwise, you're eyeless. And he's saying we're blind and we don't have eyes.
Okay.
Like, well, no shit. If you don't have your eyes, of course you can't see.
Right.
So I'm just a little confused.
I think that's,
there.
Again, semantics there.
Well,
but
today I'm feeling petty.
I guess.
I am a petty-ass bitch.
Sure.
At midday, we stumble as if it were twilight. Among the strong, we are like the dead. We all growl like bears. Growl like a bear.
Is that what it says?
Yeah. We all growl like bears. Growl like a bear.
I don't want to growl like a bear.
Boo.
Yeah.
We moan mournfully like doves. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. We look for justice but find none.
Of course.
For deliverance, but it is far away.
Mm-hmm.
Away. away. For our offenses. Sorry. For our offenses, I was thinking football, defense, offense.
Yeah.
For our
I always like the sign that people have like the letter D and then a fence. Like, defense.
Oh, I've never seen that.
You've never seen that?
No.
Man.
No, that's kind of fun.
I always thought that was clever.
Clever.
I mean, insofar as
a chant at a fucking football game.
Right, but like to bring a piece of a fence with you and a letter D and hold them up like defense,
Okay.
It's clever.
You think?
It was clever the first time it was done, that's for sure.
Okay.
Or not. Apparently, wife thinks I'm not clever.
Well, you were getting all over my shit about the stuff that I was pointing out.
Yeah.
So now I'm getting onto your shit about the stuff you're pointing out.
I got it.
For our offenses are many in your sight. Not offenses, offenses.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, we got a lot of them.
Yes.
And our sins testify against us. Our offenses are ever with us, and we acknowledge our iniquities.
Okay.
So this is like the lamenting of the nation. This is like, we suck. We collectively are trash.
Okay.
We are the mountain and the worm.
Right, right.
Rebellion and treachery against the Lord, turning our backs on our God, inciting revolt and oppression, uttering lies our hearts have conceived. So justice is driven back, and righteousness stands at a distance. Truth has stumbled in the streets. Honesty cannot enter. Truth is nowhere to be found, and whoever shuns evil becomes a prey.
I would feel really pissed if I was like a decent, good human being in this time frame that they're talking about, and they're like, no, we all sucked, so God just didn't talk to any of us. I'd be like, wait, no, you all sucked. I didn't suck.
I was just over
here. And God still didn't talk to me, so maybe he's the asshole?
Like, I'm just over here minding my fucking P's and Q's.
Right.
I fed the hungry. I, took care of my family. I did the things I was supposed to do.
Right.
I planted a garden or whatever.
Yeah, and God said himself that he gets sick of this stuff and doesn't do things for whole nations.
Yeah.
Because he just can't deal with it or whatever.
Because he does collective punishment.
He does collective punishment, and it's bullshit.
It is. It's lazy parenting.
Yeah, especially if you're an omniscient, omnipotent, sorry. God.
Omnipotent, omnipresent.
Yeah.
Omnitemporal.
Too many omniblob.
Right. Yeah. Like, you're all knowing, and yet you can't single me out. Supposedly, you know each of us and every cell that is in us and the hairs on our head and all the names of the fucking stars.
Right, but honestly, when he's talking, it sounds like he knows none of us.
Yeah.
So
he's like,
I don't think he can really make up his mind.
Collectively, you suck. Sorry about the losers in there that actually were decent. My bad. Whatever. Right. Die.
Yeah.
The Lord looked and was displeased that there was no justice. He saw that there was no one. He was appalled. Not a one. He was appalled that there was no one to intervene. What about Isaiah? Isaiah's intervening.
What about God? Why can't God intervene?
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying.
He could, yeah. So his own arm achieved salvation for him.
Okay.
And his own righteousness sustained him. He's like, I'm so awesome that I am just going to sit in my awesomeness while y'all stumble around in the dark down there.
Right.
I'm good up here, though.
Yeah. I've got my own righteousness. I got my own good.
It's like he's sipping on Capri Suns, looking down at the desert, and people are like, starving and dying of thirst in the desert. And he's like, like, dude, you suck. You're an asshole.
Right.
He put on righteousness as his breastplate. Now he has breasts. And the helmet of salvation on his head.
I want the helmet of salvation.
He's got a head.
I mean, God did build us in his image, so.
That is true. Or we built him in our image.
Well,
more like.
Yes.
He put on the garments of vengeance, because that's godly and nice.
Right.
That's loving. Yeah. And wrapped himself in zeal as a cloak.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Fucking zealous fucks.
Right? Some of these traits don't sound that great.
I don't like zeal.
I don't either.
I really don't.
I suppose it depends on what you're, zealous about.
No, the word zealous has too much. It's like the difference between the word fan versus fanatic. You know what I mean? Like, you can be a fan of supernatural, but then you got your fucking crazy fanatics, and they're gonna, like, nitpick you, and they know every single fucking episode, and if you get a character's name wrong, they will troll you. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like, there's fan versus fanatic.
Right.
You start talking to me about zeal and zealotry, and I'm like, absolutely not.
Right.
You are over the line, sir.
Okay.
Back off.
All
you
right.
know?
All right.
That's what the word has a connotation for me.
Sure.
I could be mistaken.
I was sitting here the whole time trying to come up with a good version of what zealotry would be, and I couldn't think of anything right off the top of my head. So,
I mean, do you do anything zealously? Even something you enjoy? Do you play chess with zeal? Are you zealous about it?
No. I mean, I guess
that's what
no.
I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
I love putting stickers in my planner. I love making lists. I mean, I think that is fun. Like, that is enjoyable and relaxing. Do I do it zealously, though? Do I do it with zeal? I don't think so.
I don't know. I need a guide as to where exactly zeal sits on the whole, fanaticism line.
It sounds too close to fanaticism for me.
Right.
And I'm just not for it.
Okay.
According to what they have done, so will he repay wrath to his enemies and retribution to his foes. Vengeance is not nice.
It really isn't.
We teach our 4-year-olds that. So what the fuck, God?
And later they talk all about forgiveness and things. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, where's that?
We're not there yet. Right now we're still like, kill, kill, kill.
Right.
He will repay the islands their due. You know, the folk that...
Wait, because they're bad? Well, I thought they were bringing them in.
Last time we were bringing them in. Last chapter, we were like, get over here. Y'all are all welcome. Watchmen, you suck. Let them in.
But now it sounds like he's going to punish them.
Now he's like, fuck those islands over there anyway.
Jeez.
Them coastlands can suck a dick. From the west, people will fear the name of the Lord. And from the rising of the sun, that would be the east.
Yes.
They will revere his glory. For he will come up like a pent-up flood that the breath of the Lord drives along.
I mean, he did that once, remember?
He did. He did a real flood. Yeah. But,
at least according to the Bible.
Yeah, probably not a real earth flood.
No.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
The Redeemer will come to Zion, to those in Jacob who repent of their sins, declares the Lord. As for me, this is my covenant with them, says the Lord. I wonder if he had to feel somebody's thigh. He's making a covenant. Whoa, whoa. My spirit who is on you will not depart from you. Oh, please get off me. And my words that I have put in your mouth. Oh, please don't put things in my mouth. Will always be on your lips. Do not touch my lips. On the lips of your children and on the lips of their descendants. You nasty. From this time on and forever, says the Lord, the end.
Okay. All right.
This chapter was...
it goes back to everything we've always talked about with the Bible, and God is just all over the fucking place all the time.
He's such a bipolar mess.
And, 1 minute he's punishing, the next minute he's redeeming, and it is back and forth the entire way through the Bible, and especially through Isaiah. Like, Isaiah's been just a fucking back and forth.
It's an emotional roller coaster.
Good and bad and whatever, the whole fucking time.
And God is like, I'm perfect. I do nothing wrong. And then he's like, but I did turn my face away from you guys.
Right, but he doesn't see that as bad.
Right, but it is, though. We see it
that way, sure. But he's like, well, if you guys were bad, I was totally justified in doing that.
I can do whatever I want.
And yeah, he's God, so he can't do any wrong.
Well,
and we aren't allowed to question the wrong that he does do.
I'm here to be a moral judge. And that guy that we were just talking about,
he's wrong.
He's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's wrong.
I agree.
I don't like that guy.
Nor do I.
Well, fuck him.
Right. So that was Isaiah chapter 59.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that tomorrow we'll be back with...
Isaiah chapter 60.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you remember what happened yesterday?
There was a lot of Israel / Isaiah saying, yeah, we suck. And then God was like, yeah, you fucking suck. And then God was like, I guess I'll just do it all myself.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much the gist of it?
Like, he was so pleased with his own righteousness.
Yeah.
He was like, I just had to sustain myself on my own awesome.
It occurred to me as I was listening to it, because I usually listen to it the day after just to make sure there's no, screw ups and shit.
Right.
But it occurred to me, if God is so put out by not having somebody that can handle this, why didn't he just create them?
Right.
Why didn't he just make that happen?
He could.
Why is he so awed with himself when he could have just made the person to do the thing that he's worried about doing?
He's like, I'll just pray to me.
It just seems dumb.
I'll just look at myself.
Right.
I mean, he's a narcissist.
That's true.
In canon.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was Isaiah chapter 59.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that today we're getting into
Isaiah chapter 60.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. Okay, we are hopping into chapter 60 of Isaiah.
Okay.
We are closing in on the end.
Okay.
There's only 66 chapters, I think, in this one.
Sure. Sounds good to me.
And also, we are in the end stages, so we are in Trito. Isaiah.
Right.
And also, this and I think the next couple, I'll have to double check. I'll get back to you on it. Are referred to as marvelous.
Marvelous, huh?
They're the marvelous ones.
Okay.
The marvelous chapters.
All right.
So
they better live up to their namesake there.
I'm really excited. I hear this one's marvelous. Let's see how marvelous it is.
Okay.
Ready?
Right. Yeah, I'm ready.
Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you.
I always have trouble with that arising and shining thing. It's more like arise and fucking be pissed off that I'm awake.
And stumble around.
Yeah, that's more my speed.
Try to find the on button to the Keurig.
Yeah. It doesn't help any that we do our podcast like at midnight pretty much every night.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples.
I know he fixed this once before.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how there was just like darkness and then he created light?
Yeah.
So he has a solution to this. I'm sure of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But the Lord rises upon you and his glory appears over you. Whee! Get your glory off of me. Ugh. Nations will come to your light and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Aw, he's so pretty. He's all lit it up.
Yeah. It's like as you're going to see the Christmas lights.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like a pagan Christmas tree. Lift up your eyes and look about you. All assemble and come to you. Your sons come from afar, and your daughters are carried on the hip. That's where I always carry my daughters.
We're back to recruiting people from the faraway places and stuff again, right?
Sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't.
Not sending retribution and hate towards them.
And sometimes it depends on their penis, and sometimes it don't.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Then you will look and be radiant. Your heart will throb.
Wow.
And swell. Throb and
so
swell.
Will it grow 3 times its size?
With joy. Throb and swell.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not responsible for the word choice here in the Bible, but
throb and swell.
Yeah.
Okay. The wealth on the seas will be brought to you. To you the riches of the nations will come. Herds of camels will cover your land, young camels of Midian and Ephah. I just have to interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
In the King James, instead of saying young camels, it says drama. What are those dromedarians? No. What's that other word for fucking camels?
I'm not sure.
Do you not know the word for camel?
You don't. You're sitting here going, okay, what's that other word? And I'm like, I don't fucking know what you're talking about.
Okay. So. I think it's like a drama something.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, it's a fancy word for camels.
Got it.
It's the actual.
I don't need a fancy word for camel. I've already got camel. And I'm like, camel works just fine.
I really love the word. It's like a drama. Fuck. It's like a drama. Fuck.
Okay, let's just move along.
Okay.
And then
look up the word while I'm reading. Okay.
Gosh, okay.
Herds of camels will cover your land, young camels of Midian and Ephah, and all from Sheba will come, bearing gold and incense and proclaiming the praise of the Lord. What is it?
Dromedary?
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Dromedary.
It's a dromedary.
I have never fucking heard that.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm serious.
I almost feel smart if I had been able to get the fucking word out.
You failed on that one.
But hey, I was close. I said a dromedarian.
You did,
and then I was like drama something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you hear the bit with the gold and incense?
No. I mean, you told me to look something up, so I can't do to that.
Let me read that again then. And all from Sheba will come, bearing gold and incense and proclaiming the praise of the Lord.
Wait, Sheba? Are we back in the times of fucking Samuel and stuff?
No.
Well, but like, wasn't Sheba, or was it?
Sheba's a place, not a person.
Oh, okay.
Well,
there was a Queen Sheba, though.
No, Queen of Sheba, not Queen Sheba.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's a place.
Yeah, my bad.
It's a place. I think they decided it was in like Africa.
Yeah, Ethiopia.
Yeah. So the bit about the gold and the incense, a lot of Christians look at that and they're like, that gold and incense, that's what they carried when the Lord Jesus was born.
Why?
Because they're like, see?
But why that gold and incense? Just because they said gold and incense?
Yes.
That's their only reasoning there?
It's in Isaiah. That's the fifth gospel.
For fuck's sake.
They said a word I like.
Okay, look.
They said a word I like.
Hypothetically, if we're going with quote unquote Isaiah wrote this, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about like 600 to 700 years prior to Jesus' birth.
I know, right?
And
that's
even
magic.
Even if you allow for the fact that some of this was written 200 years before Jesus' birth, you're still talking about gold and incense that survived 200 fucking years just to show up at this fucking child's birth.
It's what the wise man's carried.
It's bullshit.
I mean,
it's fucking bull. Like, who the fuck thinks that?
Don't you believe in magic?
No, I don't.
You're so annoyed. This is why I tell you these things. This is what I bring to the table. All Kedar's flocks will be gathered to you.
Who the fuck's Kedar? Is that an area too?
Probably, and they have flocks.
I guess. Okay.
The rams of Nebaioth will serve you.
Yeah.
They will be accepted as offerings on my altar, and I will adorn my glorious temple.
That's great.
Who are these that fly along like clouds, like doves to their nests?
I don't know. Who are they?
Hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo. Surely the islands look to me. Here we go with the coastals again.
He really likes talking about those islands.
Mm-hmm. Those trash people from afar.
I think they really envied the islands, and they're like, we're gonna get them to like us.
Yeah,
we're gonna make them like us.
Yeah,
those guys over there, they're so cool, but we're gonna be cooler. They're gonna be jealous of us.
They're like,
because our God, he's so cool.
They're like, they still have their penises intact. Surely the islands look to me. In the lead are the ships of Tarshish, bringing your children from afar with their silver and gold, to the honor of the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, for he has endowed you with splendor.
I see.
Do you feel endowed? Moving on. Foreigners will rebuild your walls. Yeah, foreigners get to work.
So does that mean enslaving them, or are they just going to come voluntarily?
That's what I heard. And their kings will serve you. Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know why they would do that other than you conquered them.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm hearing.
Or they owe you a lot of fucking money. I don't know. One of those two things would be true, I think.
Aren't the two kind of interchangeable at that point?
Right. But I think they're trying to imply that their God is so glorious that they're just going to willingly come and do work for them.
La, la, la,
I don't think that's how that works.
Love you so, let me build your walls.
No.
Didn't you hear that song?
No, I must have missed that one.
Yeah, I just made it up.
Yeah.
Though in anger I struck you. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
In favor, I will show you compassion. You know what? A compassionate person doesn't fucking strike in the first goddamn place.
That's called.
How about that?
It's called fucking abuse.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, did God not know psychology? Was it not invented yet? But I thought he knew everything before everything.
He's fucking God. You know, the only thing that we could possibly even hurt of him is his fragile little feelings.
Mm-hmm.
We can't actually hurt a God if such a thing existed, right?
Right.
So the worst we could do, the absolute worst. And this is just because he's got such
a small ego.
Yeah.
We could
hurt his small little feelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what does he do? He fucking kills us.
Yeah.
He slaps us. He fucking murders us.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, yeah, and now that you are worshiping me and I'm happy with you, I'll treat you well. And we're supposed to be grateful that he's not going to fucking murder us anymore.
Thank you for not murdering me, sir.
I'm kind of like, fuck you.
Right? Your gates will always stand open. They will never be shut day or night, so that people may bring you the wealth of the nations, their kings led in triumphal procession.
He says you, he means him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Or the priests mean them.
Right.
You know, one of those.
For the nation or kingdom that will not serve you will perish.
Oh, of course.
It will be utterly ruined. The glory of Lebanon will come to you, the juniper, the fir, and the cypress together to adorn my sanctuary. And I will glorify the place for my feet.
For his feet, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that, like, when they say feet in the Bible, yeah, I was going to say that it usually refers to his penis.
So he is about to teabag this whole city.
Awesome. That's great.
What were you going to say, though?
I don't even remember.
I'm sorry.
No, that's right. That's right.
The children of your oppressors will come bowing before you. All who despise you will bow down at your feet.
I know what I was going to say. I was going to say that this kind of clarifies and reiterates what we were saying earlier with regard to the slavery aspect of them rebuilding the walls for them. Because they're not there fucking willingly.
No.
It's either you're there to do this for him, or you're going to be fucking demolished by God.
Right.
So that's not voluntary.
Yeah, that's
not willingness.
You're lying.
Right, yeah.
Let's see. All who despise you will bow down at your feet and will call you the city of the Lord, Zion of the Holy One of Israel.
The ones that despise you?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to be like, I hate you,
but
your God
scared,
is really
right?
cool.
They're scared and yeah. Okay.
It's kind of like how all my friends were always like, you're so cool, but you were always grounded because your mom was always mad at you. Like, yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
But your mom is so cool. Was she though?
Right.
Really? Because you literally just said I was always grounded.
Right, okay. Right.
Although you have been forsaken and hated, with no one traveling through, I will make you the everlasting pride and the joy of all generations. You will drink the milk of nations and be nursed at royal breastises.
Have you ever noticed that he always talks as in a future thing that's going to happen?
Someday
right?
I'll be nice to you.
But I have yet to see where it's realized.
Yeah.
You know, like there's not one instance in the Bible where the dream, the perfectness of God is actually realized.
No, it's not, because he's always like, remember the time when I comforted you after I slapped the shit out of you?
Right.
Like, no, that actually doesn't count though.
Yeah.
Like, remember when I stabbed you 100 times, but then I gave you Band-Aids afterwards and I sewed stitches?
Well, it's like they just dangle this perfect thing out there. They're like, this is what could happen if you do everything exactly the way I want you to. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, obviously it's going to all fail and it's going to go wrong.
And you're going to
So there's always an excuse.
Right.
And there's always an excuse for things going sideways. Mm-hmm. But they dangle it out there as like bait for keeping in line.
You might get my favor.
Right.
Like, no, we never will get your favor because you're a dick.
Yeah.
That's the way that goes. Then you will know that I, the Lord, am your Savior, your Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob.
Okay.
You just go ahead and think that.
Sure.
Instead of bronze, I will bring you gold and silver in place of iron. Instead of wood, I will bring you bronze and iron in place of stones. I will make peace your governor and well-being your ruler.
Okay.
You could just do that anyway.
Right. You're God.
You don't have to bribe.
Yeah.
You could just fucking be nice.
Yeah.
No longer will violence be heard in your land, nor ruin or destruction within your borders. You're the one that fucking brought it.
Yeah.
Ugh. But
or you allowed it.
Yeah.
One of the two. You don't always, according to the Bible, he doesn't always necessarily bring it, but he allows it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. But you will call your walls salvation and your gates praise.
Okay. Because
why? Locking me up is happiness?
I'm not really sure.
I didn't really follow that.
Yeah.
Terrible analogy.
Well, I'm sure it means something. I just don't know exactly what it's getting at.
Well, it didn't feel good.
No.
I can tell you that.
Right, yeah.
The sun will no more be your light by day, nor will the brightness of the moon shine on you. For the Lord will be your everlasting light, and your God will be your glory.
I want some sun.
Well,
I'm not sure what God light is like exactly.
Well, so. What this is implying is that however bright and good the light of the day is,
God's so much better.
God is so much better.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Okay. I wasn't sure you got it.
No, I'm annoyed. You're annoyed. Yeah.
Your sun will never set again, and your moon will wane no more. The Lord will be your everlasting light, and your days of sorrow will end. Have you ever heard?
Sounds wonderful.
Have you ever heard Christians talk about the light of the Lord and how they're always like walking in eternal sunshine or whatever?
Yeah, I've occasionally come across that.
It's like, but are you though?
I feel like it's a contest, right? I feel like it's a lot like the Facebook moms.
Yes.
You know, like where they put the perfect pictures up of their kids and it's like a contest of who's got the better family.
Yeah.
But when you walk into their goddamn house, it's filled with shit and like there's,
and their toilet is crusty.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I see you, bro.
Yeah.
No. I know how it be.
Right. And I feel like them saying that they walk in the light of the Lord all the time is like this contest as to who can claim the most righteousness and godliness, right?
Yeah.
And it just feels... It sickens me a little bit when I hear people talk like that.
Right.
Because it feels... I have this really just... I have this ability to gauge people's genuineness, I guess.
Right.
And I don't... It never feels genuine. It feels very put on, generally speaking.
It's a show.
I'm not saying that there aren't some people, a few people out there that literally feel genuinely that they are walking in the light of the Lord. I will grant that some people might actually feel that way and walk the walk, right?
I would love to follow that person around, though.
Yeah, just to see what they're like.
How do you handle stress,
But generally, it feels very much like a put-on and a show.
Yeah.
And that's how it comes across.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good, I can tell you that much. I don't like being around it.
No.
Because it's
like, braggy. Like, the people that say that, it's very braggy.
It's braggy and it's over the top and it's like, shut up. It's nice that you're all happy and shit, but, you know, I'm over here dealing with the real life.
Right.
You know, like I have a flat tire. Could you not with your God stuff?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like, stop.
Yeah.
Then all your people will be righteous and they will possess the land forever. They are the shoot I have planted, the work of my hands, for the display of my splendor. I'm so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
The least of you will become 1,000, the smallest a mighty nation. I am the Lord. In its time, I will do this swiftly. The end.
In its time. We're still waiting on that.
Someday.
Yeah.
Ooh, someday.
What are you singing? That was a really droll rendition of whatever that was.
It's hold on, it's Mariah Carey.
Oh,
someday,
so isn't it called Someday?
Ooh, someday.
I think it's called Someday.
It's not Sunday. It's
Someday. That's what I said.
The one you gave away will be the one you will be wishing for.
You've got to stop. You've got to stop.
I'm singing flat because that's how I feel.
Horrible.
It's how I feel.
I know, but it's bad. It's really bad.
Someday. Ooh. Someday we're going to get to the end of this fucking podcast. That was the end.
Oh, okay. On that note, so that was Isaiah chapter 60.
Sure as fuck was.
Nice round number. And tomorrow we will be back with
Isaiah chapter 61.
All right. We'll see you someday.
Bye. Husband!
Wife!
Do you remember what happened yesterday?
Well, we talked about camels and dromedarians and...
Dromedaries. I feel like you're making fun of me.
Only a little bit.
Because I kind of knew the word that you didn't know at all.
I didn't know it at all. You're right. Yeah. And obviously God was back and forth with punishing people and saving people, and he's just, all over the goddamn board.
He's a waffling fuck.
Right. But the islands, they're either fucked or they're not. I'm not really sure. Haven't figured that one out yet.
Much like the poor, it just depends on the day.
Yeah. So something's happening with the islands still. Mm-hmm. He talks about them a lot.
But was it a magnificent chapter?
It was a chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about magnificent, but God thinks it's magnificent. He thinks he's magnificent.
I don't know that, God thinks he is magnificent, but the chapter 60, 61, and 62 are labeled as the magnificent
right.
chapters.
Right, yeah. So that was Isaiah chapter 60 that we just read, correct?
Sure as fuck was.
And today we're getting into...
Isaiah chapter 61.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. Okay, so we are hopping into Isaiah chapter 61.
Okay.
The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me.
Ugh, get off.
I wish that had been planned, but it
never is. Nothing we do is planned. So,
except for maybe what chapter we're doing.
Right.
Even that is questionable sometimes. Yeah. Because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor.
Sometimes it's bad news.
I know. I'm worried about how we're treating the poor today.
Yeah.
He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. Why you gotta bind them up? To proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners.
I mean, that sounds good.
To proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. I almost thought that said flavor for a minute. And I was like, what flavor is the Lord's?
I'm going to go with I don't, rotten egg.
I was thinking dick flavored. I don't know. And the day of vengeance of our God to comfort all who mourn and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning.
Wow, this is sounding pretty good right now.
I know.
For the people of Zion in Israel.
Yeah.
His people.
Yeah. And a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. That's so poetic. It's kind of nice. That was nice writing
sure.
it.
But I just don't believe it.
I don't either.
That's where I'm struggling here. Is that I'm waiting for the other
the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
The other sandal to fall.
Right. That's the one.
They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of His splendor. Because there's nothing like a God who likes to show off all the fucking time.
Right.
And
He definitely does. If we're not talking about God, if we're not praising God, if we're not groveling and fearing God,
it's only because we're talking about how awesome Solomon is.
Don't forget Samuel's hair.
I know, right?
That's some good hair.
Oh, that fancy hair. Samuel with the good hair.
Right.
They will rebuild the ancient ruins and restore the places long devastated. They will.
Why were they devastated?
Because God let them get attacked and taken.
Yeah.
What's that word?
Captive.
Captive. That's the word. Yeah.
I thought that was the case. I just wanted to double check. You know.
You know why.
I know.
They will renew the ruined cities that have been devastated for generations. Strangers will shepherd your flocks. Foreigners will work your fields and vineyards.
It's a really nice way of saying slaves.
They said this last chapter.
I know. We covered it last chapter. But they tiptoe around
we're going to own labor. People and force them to work for us.
Yeah.
But they'll be singing while they do it, so it's okay.
They have really nice ways of saying it, but that's what it is.
It's still slavery.
Right.
Yeah. And you will be called priests of the Lord. You will be named ministers of our God. You will feed on the wealth of nations, and in their riches you will boast.
Let's just be clear here, because we're going to conquer them and kill them.
Yes.
And enslave them.
And take their goods. We're going to loot and pillage.
I just want to make sure that is spelled out.
Right.
Because they're not spelling it out.
Moreover, let's not boast.
Right. Yeah.
Just
Killing
chillax.
people is not okay, first of all.
And pillaging is not okay either.
Right.
Just fucking sit at home and chillax.
Do you remember how bad it was back in the like earlier days of the Bible when they would like burn entire cities to the ground and shit? Like we were like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they were some murdery little
They were,
beasts.
but now they just pillage everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay.
And take everybody as slaves.
It was almost more point of the matter when they burned it down. Like it was almost more like, you know, our God said you're evil, so we're, you know, like we
want this piece of land and we want to walk on it,
and we want to totally destroy you because you're evil and bad, right?
Because you're not us.
But now it's just like we don't like you, so we're gonna kill you, take your stuff, and enslave you.
Yeah,
and it's different. There's a different connotation there as far as how that all works in my mind, anyway.
Well, before it was like, we will kill you, period, the end, you bad fuck.
Right, and I'm not okay with either one.
No, but now it's like, you kind of suck and we don't like you, but it's more that we're looking for a reason to take your shit.
Right.
Like, we don't really give a crap that you suck.
Yeah.
We really couldn't care less.
But God said we could take your shit, so we're gonna.
And that is very exciting. Right. Because I like your shit.
Yeah, and as long as God says it's okay, we're fine. Mm-hmm, so. Mm-hmm.
So how do we phrase this in such a way as that it looks like God said we could?
Yeah.
That's the impression I'm getting.
That's the impression I'm also getting.
Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion. And instead of disgrace, you will rejoice in your inheritance. And so you will inherit a double portion in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours. Like an everlasting God stopper?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For I, the Lord, love justice. No, you love vengeance, and that's a different thing. I hate robbery and wrongdoing.
What? He's literally telling them to do that.
But it doesn't count as robbery if I have decided that those people are subhuman and that we deserve to have their shit.
This is the shit that I fucking hate. Mm-hmm. Like, he is God. He created all people, all of the world, all of the universe. Mm-hmm. Yet, he created some people as lesser and subhuman and not worthy of redemption. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, see, when I asked people about this, what their answer is that, well, honey, it's not that he was for it so much as he was talking to people where they were. That's what they believed. And so God was just meeting them where they were. And I was like, but God could do better. He could teach them to do better.
He hardened Pharaoh. I'm going to go back to it again. I use it all the time. He hardened Pharaoh's heart. Mm-hmm. He changes people's minds. He's able to influence people in dramatic ways according to the Bible.
He got pissed off when they weren't following the rules he set forth. Therefore, he has the power to set forth rules and get pissed when the rules aren't followed.
Right.
But he's not even trying.
Let's be honest, he gets pissed even when he makes people do things.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then he's like, I can't believe you did the thing. Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?
There is no appeasing this fucking God.
No. I hate robbery and wrongdoing. In my faithfulness, I will reward my people and make an everlasting covenant with them. That means I'm going to put my hand on their dick and cup their balls in my hand.
And I'm wondering, we should start counting how many everlasting covenants he's done with his people.
Yeah.
Because it feels like a significant amount at this point.
It really does. And how can anybody keep that many promises?
Well, I mean, why do you have to keep making new everlasting covenants? Why didn't you just make one that was binding for all time? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That seems easier.
It seems also like it makes more sense.
Right, yeah.
But what do I know? I'm just a heathen.
Sure.
Their descendants will be known among the nations and their offspring among all the peoples. All who see them will acknowledge that they are a people the Lord has blessed.
That's great.
I delight greatly in the Lord. My soul rejoices in my God.
Hold on. I got one thing here. Mm-hmm. If you're a group of people who does not believe in this God, do you give a fuck at all about their God?
No.
Then why would you be commenting on how they delight in the God and how they, revel in his whatever? And this seems very false.
It is false.
And not correct, because this is not how it would go down.
No, not at all.
Okay.
For he has clothed me with garments of salvation and arrayed in me a robe of his righteousness, as a bridegroom adorns his head like a priest, and as a bride adorns herself with her jewels. For as the soil makes the sprout come up, and a garden causes seeds to grow, a garden doesn't cause seeds to grow.
No, there's a lot more involved than that.
The garden itself is just where it is.
Yeah.
Like the garden is the seeds growing.
Right.
That's just a weird phrasing.
Yeah.
So the sovereign Lord will make righteousness and praise spring up before all nations. The end.
I mean, on the surface, it could, like, if I felt like this was a worthy God of following, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could take this better than the way I'm taking it. It's just that we've read the Bible up to here.
Right.
And I don't believe the fucker.
I'm like, you're full of shit.
Yeah. And again, in canon, you know,
obviously,
as we're talking about this, as we're pretending that God is a thing.
Right.
I don't believe this God is going to hold up his end of the bargain, because he never has.
Right.
It's just been, it's so back and forth all the time. It's almost impossible to follow. You can't even keep up with how much he changes his goddamn mind.
No. You know, and you said something just then that I really want to comment on. You said, as we're reading this and pretending that God is real. And I have seen atheists that like pounce on that. Like, why are you pretending he's real? That's dumb. He's not. And
right.
I feel like you're not understanding what we mean by that. So assuming that you questioning atheist person are listening, here is the answer to that. When you read a book and you talk about the characters in the book, you talk about them as though they exist.
Yeah.
So like when I'm reading, say, an Agatha Christie mystery novel starring Hercule Poirot, I will say, you know, assuming that Poirot is, you know, a person doing these things.
Sure.
You know, that all goes without saying, but we have to say it because it's the Bible. Poirot does these things, and then we talk about his actions, right? That's what we're doing here. We're discussing a fucking character.
Well, and I think, to be fair, I think atheists get up in arms about pretending that there is a God, because there is a lot of harm that is done by this book. And specifically, a lot of atheists have been harmed by, you know, the actions of people involved in this book, the book itself, the culture around it, everything, you know? So there's a lot of emotion pent up in this whole world of religion.
Right. And I understand that. I just, like, for a second there, I had to get on my high horse and be like, I know that there's not a God. That's why we're doing this podcast. I'm an atheist too, okay? Gosh.
No, and really the only reason I call it out occasionally is just to remind, because sometimes we get very involved in what we're talking about, like in the story.
And we're like, God does this and God does that.
And if you didn't know us, you might not know that we were actually atheists, possibly.
Okay.
We might just be angry Christians or something, you know? Okay. I don't know. So I feel the need to call it out occasionally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is important to live in that world a little bit, just so we can comment on the absurdity of it.
Right.
You know, we have to be able to be in that world and speak to it so that we can see the flaws and see the places where it's not correct, or where it's not holding up its end of the bargain, you know?
Well, it's like when you're reading Greek and Roman myths and legends, and you're like, oh my God, why did Hercules do this instead of that? Jesus Christ, if he had only blah, 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 blah. You're talking about the character, though, as though he's real. And it goes without saying that obviously he's not real. But because this is the Bible, we forget that somebody might hear us and think that we're not discussing a character.
Right.
Spoiler alert, God's not real. We don't believe in God, and God's just a character. And we're like, ugh, why is he so stupid? This character sucks.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that was Isaiah chapter 61.
It sure as fuck was.
Which means that we'll be back tomorrow with
Isaiah chapter 62.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you remember what happened yesterday and how the hell we got here?
Well, I think God was making more promises, covenants, grabbing, you know, people's thighs and shit. Mm-hmm. And he was saying everything's going to be wonderful and good, and especially to the poor. But we didn't believe it.
Right.
Because just history
Yeah.
and what we've read.
And he was excluding the island folk again.
Yeah, and there was things that were alluding to slavery.
Yeah.
For, people that weren't Israelites.
Hardcore.
Or believed in him.
Mm-hmm.
So the poetry of the chapter was good.
Mm-hmm.
The things that they alluded to and the things that I don't believe were bad.
It was well-written bullshittery.
It was, yes, exactly. So that was Isaiah chapter 61.
It was.
Which means that today we're getting into
Isaiah chapter 62.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. Okay, so we are hopping into Isaiah chapter 62.
Okay.
Which is a continuation of Isaiah chapter 61.
Is this more magnificent?
And this is the last of the magnificent chapters.
Okay.
There were 3 of them.
Right.
The last chapter, chapter 61, was about good tidings of salvation to Zion. So that's what we're getting into here today.
Okay. Yep.
For Zion's sake, I will not keep silent. For Jerusalem's sake, I will not remain quiet.
God's not going to remain quiet?
I don't know.
Okay.
Till her vindication shines out like the dawn, her salvation like a blazing torch.
If God's not keeping quiet, who's he not keeping quiet to? Because my understanding is that no one can hear the fucker.
Yeah, he is quiet as hell.
Yeah.
The nations will see your vindication, and all kings your glory. You will be called by a new name that the mouth of the Lord will bestow.
What name is that? I'm curious.
The mouth, huh?
Right, but I want to know the name.
That name.
Is it to come? Like, it's still coming?
You'll be called by a new name.
At that point.
I don't know.
Okay.
You will be a crown of splendor in the Lord. This must be Isaiah talking. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're still in Isaiah, so hypothetically, yes, this is all through Isaiah. They've stopped really using him saying that he's the tool.
Right.
But it's still, I think, implied by being Isaiah that we're supposed to believe that Isaiah is saying this
right.
stuff.
I mean, we are in the end stages. We are in Trito Isaiah. I forgot to mention. But, I mean, you asked me at the beginning who's speaking.
Right.
And
yeah.
I think it's Isaiah, not Isaiah for God.
Sure. Okay. But the fact that Isaiah is speaking lost all effect for me when I realized that they're writing this 200 years plus after Isaiah's, long gone.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. You will be a crown of splendor in the Lord's hand, a royal diadem in the hand of your God. No longer will they call you deserted with a capital D, or name your land desolate with a capital D. But you will be called Hephzibah with a capital H.
Hephzibah, huh?
Hephzibah. And your land Beulah with a capital B.
I am curious about what those are going to mean, because that's definitely got to be in our Q&A.
For the Lord will take delight in you, and your land will be married.
Okay. It's going to be, because that's when things are good, they're married. Yeah. Right? Is that? Yeah. Okay.
As a young man marries a young woman, so will your builder marry you. Builder, a capital B. So God.
Yeah. Okay.
As a bridegroom rejoices over his bride, so will your God rejoice over you.
I see.
Because, she belongs to him. He rejoices over his belonging.
Right. And given the connotation of how women are treated in the Bible thus far, I don't know that I like that comparison.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's not necessarily a good thing for anybody who likes to be human.
It sounds like we're about to get fucked. Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I have watched... No, I read that wrong.
Yeah, real quick, if you ask Mary, we're about to get fucked in more ways than one.
Yeah, exactly. I have posted watchmen on your walls, Jerusalem. Remember those fucking watchmen?
Yeah, he didn't like them before.
Yeah.
Okay.
They will never be silent day or night. You who call on the Lord, give yourselves no rest, and give him no rest till he establishes Jerusalem and makes her the praise of the earth.
What about, even in the middle of the night? I'm trying to sleep here, guys.
Yeah, I don't know what any of that means.
Be quiet?
Shh.
I don't.
The Lord has sworn by his right hand and by his mighty arm. Okay. That was a colon.
Yeah.
Now we're quote.
Okay.
Here's his
This
swear.
is a swear.
Yeah. Never again will I give your grain as food for your enemies, and never again will foreigners drink the new wine for which you have toiled, but those who harvest it will eat it and praise the Lord, eat it. And those who gather the grapes will drink it in the courts of my sanctuary. End quote.
Okay. That you would think that as he's establishing this, apparently, in real time, establishing this new Jerusalem, Israel, land of Jacob and all.
Hephzibah or whatever.
And right, Hephzibah, right. That a legacy like that would endure all time.
Yeah.
Because never again.
Right.
Never.
Ever.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're all going to look to them with envy and awe.
Envy.
Yeah. Because of their God, right?
That puts anti-Semitism right out.
It really does, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, this didn't go the way God planned.
Are you telling me that the Nazis got it wrong?
I'm telling you that even before the Nazis, they didn't have control of Jerusalem because of other reasons.
Right.
And I don't think this played out the way that the Bible's saying it played out.
Yeah, I think God didn't know.
I think that humans 2,000 years ago didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Pass through the gates, prepare the way for the people. Build up the highway, remove the stones, raise a banner for the nations. The Lord has made proclamation to the ends of the earth. Okay, here's his proclamation. Ready?
Okay.
Quote, say to daughter Zion, see, your Savior comes. See, his reward is with him and his recompense accompanies him.
Okay.
They will be called the holy people, the redeemed of the Lord, and you will be called sought after.
I see.
Capital S, capital A.
They like these capital letters here, huh? Yeah.
The city no longer deserted. Each of those words was capitalized.
Interesting.
The end.
Okay. Like this, there's got to be a lot of meaning behind these, like almost each individual word in this chapter,
right? Because
there's a lot of capitalization. There's a lot of symbolism and just alluding to things that there's definitely more to this chapter than what we're reading directly.
Oh, obviously.
And I'm gonna want to learn more about that when we do our Q&A.
I want to know who is Beulah.
Right?
Beulah,
yeah. No, that's
Beulah,
definitely interesting.
Beulah.
And what was the other one?
Hephzibah. Yeah.
Okay.
I was doing Bueller and you were just not.
I was ignoring you, yeah.
I know. Yeah. Why? Why do you ignore me?
I don't ignore you. It's just that if I responded to everything that you threw my way, we'd be here a lot longer.
You mean longer than we are right now with me asking you questions and you having
Not today, but maybe tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll cover it like once every week or two,
You're
and then
this is why
you'll let it slide sometimes, but then you catch me up sometimes and like, why didn't you respond to that? Why? And then I'm like, well, because I didn't.
Okay. Well,
and that's all.
I think that was.
But I do appreciate the Bueller,
I think that was
just for the record.
Capital S shitty of capital Y U.
All right. Well, on that note, that was Isaiah chapter 62.
Sure as fuck was.
And we will be back tomorrow with
Isaiah chapter 63.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
Bye. Husband.
Wife.
Do you know what today was?
Well, we just passed the midnight mark, so it's technically not Saturday, but we're going to pretend it's Saturday.
It's Saturday night, bitch.
It's Saturday night. Yeah, sure. But not only did we fail at getting this out technically on Saturday, we also failed on our last episode where we said that we'd be back tomorrow with the new Isaiah chapter.
Right.
And it was not correct because it was Friday when we put that out.
But we didn't
know. Today's Sunday-ish, Saturday night type
anyway,
thing.
Whatever. We're fucked up.
We fucked up. Yeah. We're all kinds of fucked up.
We just can't read a calendar, and I don't think we'll ever get it straight that the day we record is not the day that we
record.
Post.
Right.
Yeah. Except for when it is.
It's hard, guys. It's hard.
It's not. We just are stupid.
There's that too. So that means that today's Saturday, which means we're doing
Q&A Saturday, a little bit late, not on Saturday,
but mostly
kind of.
So what are we Qing and Aing today?
Well, this past week we covered Isaiah chapters 58 through 62.
Okay.
And we are going to talk about the last couple chapters.
Okay.
Because
those were the ones that had a lot of things to say.
Because what the fuck?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. You ready to do this?
I am.
Let's do it.
Okie dokie. All right, so here we are doing our Q&A over chapters 58 through 62 of Isaiah.
Of which we only had some questions about the last couple of chapters, really.
Right.
So
just to do a quick little recap, chapters 56 through 66 are often referred to as Trito-Isaiah.
Right.
They're the final part of the book. So we're bringing it home.
Yep.
We're going to finish it up this coming week.
Yeah.
And chapters 60 through 62 are the three magnificent chapters. And they are often seen as the high point of Trito-Isaiah.
Oh.
So it goes downhill from here, I guess?
Okay. That's sad.
Yeah, I don't really...
Yeah, the Bible's not real great at wrapping things up or making like stories out of things. So like, I feel like it's going to be a bunch of stumbling to get out of the book.
I feel like it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So chapters 61 and 62 are about the good tidings of salvation to Zion.
Okay.
That's basically what those two chapters cover. They're 62 is a continuation of 61.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had questions about Zion's new names, like WTF.
Yes.
What the hell? Why? What?
Right.
So here's the thing. The new name for the restored city does not necessarily abandon the old one. Like, for example, note that Jacob was still known as Jacob, even though he was given the new name Israel.
Sure.
So the new name isn't...
It's just an extra name?
It's an extra name.
Got it.
Right. It rather signifies the imagery changes in verse 6 of the city now as the marriage partner of Yahweh, differentiated from its earlier, quote, desolate condition while witnessed by foreign nations. Okay? So
the you mean the time when God abandoned all of his people and let them be enslaved and taken for whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the names that he gives are forsaken, or the names that they were originally were forsaken and desolate.
Okay.
Okay. Now, forsaken is translated from the Hebrew word azubah, which means desolation. And desolate is translated from the Hebrew word shemama, which means waste.
Okay.
Okay. So we're talking about wastelands, desolate.
Right. Bad
whatever.
Shit.
Bad earth. Yeah. And then so he renames them, the land, not the people, the land, to Hephzibah and Beulah.
Right.
And Hephzibah is literally, my delight is in her. And Beulah in Hebrew means married to the land.
Okay.
So here is something off topic that you will find interesting. Beulah Park opened in Grove City, Ohio, which is a suburb of Columbus, in 1923, and was Ohio's first thoroughbred racetrack and premier event center.
Okay.
Oh, Beulah Park, huh?
Yeah.
At its close in 2014, it was one of only 3 tracks in Ohio to offer live thoroughbred racing. Beulah Park was bought by a developer with plans including single household condos, apartments, townhouse-style condos, a 102-unit senior luxury independent living facility, a 75-unit assisted living building, office and retail space, and a 60-acre park or green space.
Okay, I'm not trying to interrupt here, but like, what the fuck does this have to do with the Bible?
Because it was called Beulah.
Okay.
Beulah Park.
No, I get it. And other than Ohio, why do I care?
Because it's Ohio. We had a Beulah.
Because we live in Ohio, that's why we're covering this.
Yes, I thought it was interesting.
Okay, all right.
Grove City Planning Commission gave the development plans a green light in 2017. And in 2021, the first residents began occupying the 220-acre development that was previously Beulah Park.
Okay.
It's not called that anymore.
I'm sure our fans are riveted right now.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting because it was open for so long and then it closed and now it's just
that happens to things. Yeah.
Just people live there.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So okay, the Lord promises to protect Zion in verses 6 through 9 of Isaiah chapter 62.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
One of the words that he uses is watchman, and he says he's gonna set up watchmen, right?
Yeah, which was interesting because we had talked about them before, and he didn't like the old watchmen or whatever.
Yeah,
so these
he
are
was
new
like,
ones.
The watchmen were blind, and I guess now these guys aren't. Now, something that I found interesting, and you might also find interesting, is have you heard of the novel Go Set a Watchman?
No.
You have.
Okay.
It is the one that was released by Harper Lee's people who...
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she didn't want it released or something like that?
Yeah, there was a whole scandal. It was published in 2015. It was written before her only other published novel, the Pulitzer Prize winning To Kill a Mockingbird,
right,
which was published in 1960. Go Set a Watchman was initially promoted as a sequel by its publishers. It is now accepted that it was merely a first draft of To Kill a Mockingbird, with many passages in that book being used again.
Got it.
The title comes from the book of Isaiah in the Hebrew Bible.
Interesting.
It alludes to Jean Louise Finch Scout's view of her father, Atticus Finch, as the moral compass, the watchman.
Got it.
Of Maycomb, Alabama, and has a theme of disillusionment as she discovers the extent of the bigotry in her home community.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting because I always wonder, where the fuck did the name of that book come from?
Sure.
And also, just FYI, there's like a whole movement where people are like, we weren't supposed to read that, so don't.
Right.
And I am one of those people.
Okay.
I'm not reading it. I don't think you should read it.
I probably won't.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Sure.
So that was basically the answer to those questions, plus 2 trivia points. He gave them extra names.
So what you're telling
funsies.
me is that there wasn't a whole hell of a lot to talk about this week.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Because you were like throwing shit in there just to like fill space, I feel.
I put interesting things in there, and if there had been no room for it, I would have skipped over it.
Okay.
But there was room for it.
There was
definitely, I kept it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But yeah, he gave the name because he's like, I love this land now today.
Got it. All right.
And you know, just like he did with Jacob, he did with the land.
Okay.
I did find it interesting that it was what he called the land, not the people.
Sure. Yeah,
Which,
that there's something there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what.
Right.
But something.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So that's all we got then, right?
That's all we got then.
All
I'm
right.
sorry, there wasn't a lot there,
well,
but I did answer your question.
It's a short Q. Yeah, you answered my question.
Mm-hmm.
It was a short Q&A, so that is our Q&A today for this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
We will be back, maybe, probably, hopefully tomorrow.
Sunday.
With a Patreon episode, I believe we're going to do.
Because
we've had a lot of like really screwy shit going on lately.
Yeah.
So
we're going to try to do a Patreon.
Also, if you are about tomorrow,
mm-hmm.
Or today when you're listening to this, which will be Sunday,
mm-hmm.
At 3 p.m. Eastern, we will be live on Discord. So if you haven't joined us yet on the Discord channel,
mm-hmm.
you should hop over there right now.
You should.
Sign up and then join us for the live show that happens at 3 p.m.
Get over there, assholes. Yeah, we'll be covering Isaiah chapter 63.
Yes, on the live Discord.
On the
episode.
live Discord at
Correct.
3 Central.
Yeah.
Eastern.
No, what the hell are you?
I have no idea. I don't know why I said that. Eastern.
I'm gonna fire.
3 p.m.
I'm firing wife.
Don't fire me. Don't fire me.
Talking about land development projects and fucking...
Okay, listen.
Quoting the wrong goddamn time frames.
Okay, listen. If you fired me, then all of your mistakes would be that much more glaring.
That's true.
Right now, I am your scapegoat.
I can't fire you.
I know.
That's not going to happen.
I know.
So, anyway, thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you again soon.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Husband!
Wife!
What the fuck are we doing?
A long overdue Patreon. That's right. And it's technically still Sunday.
It is.
So we're doing it on the right day, just later than we'd like.
And later by days and weeks.
Well, yeah. We had a lot of shit happen. So we apologize. We can't help that life happens, but at the same time, we feel bad not getting out material to our fans and our listeners. So
especially those who are actually supporting us financially.
Yes.
We owe you.
Yes. So we do indeed.
This is for you, baby.
Yeah. So what are we Patreoning today?
Well, I thought we would talk about some trees.
Trees, eh? Mm-hmm. Any particular trees that we're talking about?
The tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of life, and maybe a few other trees we'll see.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Okay. Let's. You ready to do this?
I sure as fuck am.
All right, let's do it.
Okie dokie. All right, so we are here today talking about trees.
Okay.
Do you know which trees are in the Garden of Eden?
Well, it's the tree of knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the fruit is, or apple, as people like to refer to it as.
And the tree of life.
But are we? There's both of them there.
Maybe.
So is that something we're going to cover?
They're both mentioned in the Bible.
Are they?
They are.
In Genesis, or
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
We read about both of those guys.
Okay. All right.
The tree, we're going to start with the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So it's not just the tree of knowledge. That's what we shorthand it.
Sure.
But it's actually the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, as in the ability to discern right from wrong.
Sure.
That's what that means.
Okay. Unless, of course, God's hardening your heart.
Right, exactly. But as you alluded to just now, some scholars have argued that the tree of knowledge of good and evil is just another name for the tree of life.
Okay.
So let me tell you how we get there, okay?
Yeah.
The phrase good and evil may be an example of the type of figure of speech known as merism, which is a literary device that pairs opposite terms together in order to create a general meaning. So that the phrase good and evil would simply imply everything.
Got it.
Because it's two opposites that encompass
everything. Sure.
So, if the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is to be understood to mean a tree whose fruit imparts knowledge of everything, this phrase does not necessarily denote a moral concept. And this view is held by several scholars.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So most scholars believe that the tree it's just one tree and it's not about morals. It's just the tree of everything.
Got it.
So it would be, although we call it the tree of knowledge, really what we should be calling it, if we're going to say that there's only one tree, we really should all agree that we're calling it the tree of life or the tree of everything.
Got it. Okay.
But whatever.
Yeah.
Jewish sources suggest different possibilities for the tree, or different possible identities for the tree.
Okay.
A fig tree, as fig trees were used to clothe Adam and Eve after, quote unquote, the sin.
Right.
A grapevine, a stalk of wheat, an etrog. And I was like, what the fuck is an etrog?
Yeah, what is an etrog?
It's a yellow citrus fruit.
Okay.
It is a thing today.
Got it.
It's not a non-existent, existed only back then thing.
Sure.
And it's also used today in some traditional Jewish ceremonies.
Got it.
Anyway, a grapevine, a stalk of wheat, an etrog, or the etrog tree's allegedly tasty bark, as the description in Genesis chapter 3, verse 6 matches the etrog fruit's beautiful appearance, or a nut tree.
Okay.
So,
sure.
Not necessarily a fucking apple.
Right. And when we talked about that back when we were, we talked about it at some other point. I don't remember exactly what we were getting into.
It's not an apple.
But it's not an apple.
It's not an apple.
I don't think apples were even in that area.
No.
So
no.
It definitely is not an apple, or
correct.
At the very least, we don't know what the fuck it is.
We don't know what the fuck it is, but it ain't an apple.
Right.
But it might be one of those other...
Oh no, what happened?
Well, this is a special Patreon episode, actually. Which means that they need to go to Patreon and subscribe as a patron in order to listen to it.
Okay, well, I guess that we are going to go do that now.
Yeah, just head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse, become a member for as low as $2 a month, and you'll have access to all these special things and goodies too. So, go do that.
So this was just a teaser.
Yeah, teaser.
Okay, just
Bye.
checking.
Oh,
Bye.
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 Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my god. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.